So good morning everyone, my name is Mike Alcock. I'm Managing Director of GoMo Learning. Here to talk about the future of offline learning and where are we heading. So my details are on the screen, I have my cards here if anybody wants to come and see me afterwards, and GoMo is just here, so if you're interested in what we're talking about and you want to continue the conversation after the presentation, I'll be back on the stand there with my colleagues in the GoMo shirts. So we're going to talk about the future of offline learning, and really this has been prompted by a lot of the work we've been doing around trying to enable offline learning for learners who are disconnected from the internet. So we've got lots of LMS solutions out there that can deliver content to connected devices, but what do we do for our remote workers, people who are on planes and trains, people who work on the countryside, people who might be visiting a doctor's surgery, a sales team for example, and they might not have a reliable internet connection, but they need their learning in their hands. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about GoMo, what we do, and how we've decided to solve those challenges. I know a few of you in the crowd, some of you may not know who we are, so I will just give a little bit of background. I'll then show you the tool in action, show you how it gives you the offline capability. So our customers tend to be global organizations. You don't need to be a global organization, but GoMo solves the problems and challenges that a lot of global organizations face. GoMo's been doing very nicely in the awards recently. So Brandon Hall, who are the US's leading e-learning analyst, gave us gold for Best Advance in Content Authoring Technology in December. Craig Weiss, I think he's in London at the moment, the world's most influential e-learning blogger. He's rated GoMo as the #1 authoring tool in the world. And Fosway Group, who are also here today, they've got us as the leading core challenger in the authoring tool space. If you don't know much about us as well, we're also part of a bigger group. We're part of the Learning Technologies group, so we sit in this group alongside Leo, who are just behind our stand there. Leo are one of Europe's leading content producers, do a lot of stuff in GoMo. They also use other authoring tools as well. GoMo's me and us. We also own Uclear Training. They're a financial services e-learning regulatory training business. Produce a lot of off-the-shelf content for the financial services sector. Preloaded are a Games with Purpose company. They produce learning games for corporations like McDonald's. And then most interesting for me personally is our recent acquisition of Rustici Software. So Rustici are a US-based organization, and they look after SCORM and the XAPI e-learning standards. So we've acquired those guys, and a lot of their technologies are now making it into the GoMo product set, quite literally as we speak. So what do we do at GoMo? We started life as an authoring tool, but in order to have the offline delivery capability, we needed to add in hosting and analytics. So it's now a complete suite. It's authoring plus hosting and analytics. That gives you the GoMo Learning Suite. What makes GoMo different from traditional products in this space? I think the first and most important one is that GoMo produces responsive and adaptive HTML5 content, and it does that inherently. We don't have any Flash in there. It's all HTML5 and it's fully responsive. And what we mean by that is the content will work on any device, any screen size, any orientation, without modification. You don't have to build a course 5 times. You don't have to do a desktop view and a smartphone view and a landscape view and a portrait view. You build a course once and it'll work and it'll fill the screen. So the player auto-senses screen size, orientation, browser, and adjust the course automatically. So this is my setup. I've got a Windows 10 laptop, it's over there. I've got my iPad mini and I've got my Google Nexus smartphone. And you can see that the GoMo content fills the screen on all the devices. And if we're going to deliver serious offline learning, that's something we need to do. A lot of e-learning systems can't do that. They'll take a 1024 rectangle, squash it down into a third of a smartphone, rendering it unreadable, too small to hit the buttons and so on. GoMo solves those problems for you. GoMo's cloud-based, so you author in the cloud, you log in through a web browser. There's nothing to download, nothing to install. It's fully collaborative. We have online review. And then we offer the integrated hosting and analytics. And I'll show you the architecture diagram in a moment, but for every distribution method that we support, we also have full XAPI analytics, so you can see exactly what your learners have been doing when they're in the course. And the brand new feature that we're really interested in, I hope, today, is the GoMo Central app. This is available, or will be, in about a week's time in the app stores for Android and iOS. And the app itself, and I'll show you it in a moment, is a single app for each operating system. Download the app to your device. You'll then authenticate yourself against your GoMo account, log in, and you'll see the courses that are available to you as a student. Each course has got a download button. So if you're about to jump on a train or a plane or a bus, or you're about to go on a sales visit, you may not have internet connectivity, you can download the courses to your device and take them with you. And once they're downloaded, it doesn't matter if you've got the internet or not. They'll run, they'll give you a full app experience. So here's the Jaguar Land Rover Discovery Sport running in the GoMo Central app. You get a full app experience when you're consuming your content. So just like any app that you might have on your device. But best of all, when you get back to the office, or 3G or 4G, the app will ring home and it'll transmit all of your tracking data back to the GoMo server. So you get offline consumption with full XAPI analytics. You're not losing the record of what the learners have been doing while they've been offline. And that's one of the many analytics dashboards. Now, this is the current GoMo analytics dashboard. Part of the acquisition of Rustici gave us access to a Watershed, which is probably the world's leading learning record store. So you'll see some Watershed components coming into GoMo very shortly as well. Just to talk about the architecture then, and how it all hangs together. And you'll see that diagram represented over there as well on the exhibition stand. I mentioned at the beginning, everything's cloud-based, so log in through a web browser and start building your content. I'll give you a quick look at this in a moment. So you can work from anywhere, just via a web browser. You can work collaboratively. Because it's in the cloud, it's very easy to collaborate and work together, so team-based development's fully supported. We have online review, so when you get to the review cycle, you want to share a course with your manager or your stakeholders, get their input, they can do it directly onto the pages of the course. And you're not sending each other emails or big spreadsheets to get your review notes in. And if you really want to, you can publish content out of GoMo as a disconnected SCORM object that will go into any LMS at the traditional e-learning way of doing it. But that doesn't give you the offline capability. So the offline capability comes if you publish your courses to the GoMo hosting and analytics server. And from there you get 5 distribution methods. So the first one is GoMo Central, which is a learner portal that you can set up and brand, invite people to log in and consume their courses. Hanging off that is the GoMo Central app, which gives you the offline player and the offline playback capability. We can embed GoMo courses in any web page. We generate embed codes for websites, so if you want to distribute via a web page, you can. We generate direct links, so if you want to email a course to somebody, tweet it, Facebook, LinkedIn, you can do that. And then last one is an interesting bit of technology. If you're targeting an existing LMS with GoMo, we've got a unique bit of technology called the GoMo LMS wrapper. Instead of sending your LMS a 200 megabyte SCORM file that's disconnected from the authoring tool, the minute it goes live, you get a phone call saying it's the wrong video on this page, you've got the typing mistake on this page, back to the authoring tool, repair the course, rezip, re-FTP. We can use the GoMo LMS wrapper. This is a micro file. It's usually about 13 kilobytes. That goes in the LMS. It looks like SCORM, it runs like SCORM, and it tracks like SCORM, but it's looking back at the GoMo servers to see the latest version of the content. So if you need to repair that course, all you've got to do is overwrite it in GoMo. The LMS is looking to GoMo for the latest version of the content. You don't have to republish, rezip, re-FTP, re-SCORM, etc. Okay, so that's the theory. We'll now have a look at GoMo in practice, and then I'll show you the native app with the offline capability. So I'm logged into GoMo. I've got access to the authoring and the hosting. I'm not going to go through every part of the product today. We're on a 30-minute little slot here, but we can always show you over on the stand in a moment. But I've just logged in for a browser. In fact, this isn't even my PC. I've had to use the exhibitions PC, but I can just log in through a browser from anywhere and start working in GoMo. So this is GoMo Learning. This is the authoring side of things. So I've got a course I've been working on. I've got my header navigation up the top here. I've got a menu and 3 topics. Further down, I've then got a help and a glossary and a footer navigation at the bottom. So this is a course I've set up just to give you an idea of what the authoring environment looks like. You can see that this topic is locked by Mike Alcock, that's me. It's because I'm working in that topic, and this is where some of the collaboration features come in. If any of my colleagues want to help me build this course, they can open menu, topic 2 or topic 3, so we can truly collaborate together. I've locked topic 1 because I might be adjusting the slide order and I don't want one of my colleagues trying to do the same thing at the same time. When you click on a topic, you open up the main authoring window, and I'll just talk about some of the multi-device capabilities in here. So this is the main authoring environment. I've got the navigator down the side here. That's the list of topics in this particular course. I've got my assets panel, so if I want to drag in video, audio, presentational assets such as my accordions, carousels, or quiz assets such as my multiple choice, graphical multiple choice, I just drag those into the page. The multi-device bit in GoMo is handled through a column metaphor. And if I select this content block in the middle here, you can see it's got a quiz and a video in there. If you look on the right-hand side there, it's a 2-column layout. On a desktop and a tablet computer, those 2 columns will sit next to each other. On a smartphone, GoMo will drop the right-hand text block below the left-hand text block. So from a single authoring effort, we get a course that works across all of the devices. And everything's fully configurable. There's no programming language in here. Just type in the questions and answers into the quiz box. Very easy to use, drag and drop interface. Once I've built my course in GoMo, I can then preview it. And if any of you have got a smartphone or tablet with a QR code reader on, grab it now, because this course will jump onto your device in the next 30 seconds if you want to have a go at this. So I'll bring up a QR code in a moment. But there's that course I was working on. It was called Thursday 1804. There's the first page with the introduction to GoMo. I've got the screen all about our offices. There's the Brighton office. And on the third screen here, we've got the quiz and the video. And our head office is in Brighton, and confirm, and we get the correct feedback. So I'm now testing this course inside my web browser on a desktop computer. But what will it look like for somebody on an iPad? Or, of course, other tablets are available. It'll look like this. I'll jump back to the menu, just run through that course again. Everything's looking good for my iPad user. There's my quiz again and the video. But what about if you're on a smartphone? And this is where the responsiveness really shows itself. And you can see there that GoMo has dropped the video down below the quiz question. But everything's finger friendly. The text is big enough to read. The buttons are big enough to hit with my fingers. The confirm button's big enough. Down at the bottom here, the text that was in the bottom navigation bar has now changed into icons, so they're finger friendly. So everything's designed perfectly for the smartphone, and there's no authoring effort to achieve that. You just lay out your content in GoMo. You automatically get multi-device content. If I prefer to hold my phone in landscape mode rather than portrait, the course will just spin around. So you're not forcing users to hold devices awkwardly. It's however they want to use it. We'll just go back to the tablet view, and I'll quickly bring up the QR code. So if any of you have got your QR code readers handy, if you point your QR code reader at that, then the course that we're looking at here will jump onto your smartphone or tablet. I can see some people having a go at it. Once you get the course onto your device, have a go at spinning your device round. You'll see the responsiveness in action as well. I'll just leave that up for a few seconds while people grab their phones. I can bring this QR code reader up at the end as well if anyone else wants to see it. So I've just shown you the basics of authoring, but then how do you distribute that course to your students. And this is where GoMo hosting comes in. So instead of publishing out of GoMo, I've published across to the GoMo hosting cloud. And from here, I can choose my different distribution options. And GoMo Central is where we support the offline access. So I can set it up, I can brand it up with the GoMo logo, I can set up my backgrounds and full screen colors and so on. I can categorize my content, I can set up my user groups in here. And if I launch GoMo Central, it looks like this inside a web browser. But for offline access, I'll have to just wave my iPad at you here. It looks like this on my iPad. So this is the view of GoMo Central through the native app. So I've got the native app on my device. My iPad is disconnected from the internet now. I'm in airplane mode. But if I go and run a course, then I get access to the content even though I'm offline. It's GoMo, so I can use things like swipe gestures to navigate through. If I turn the device round, the content adapts and responds to the changing browser conditions. I can exit that course. Tricky looking at it from the side, run a different course. So I've got full offline access via the native app to all of the courses that I've downloaded to my device. And I think that's pretty similar to the one we had on the screen. Yeah. And again, it will adapt and respond fully. When I get back to the office and switch off airplane mode, the app will ring home and it'll transmit my XAPI analytics data back to GoMo. So you get full offline access with full XAPI tracking. You also get dynamic content updates. So the other thing it'll do, it'll compare the versions of the courses on here with the courses on the e-learning server. And if it sees there's some new content available, I'll get a little icon on one of the courses. It'll say, Mike, there's new content available. Do you want to download because somebody's updated the course? And I'll get that. And we'll just show you very quickly the XAPI analytics. So if I go back to the hosting platform here, here's all the courses that I'm distributing. I've been distributing this Learning Solutions 2015 course via GoMo Central. I get my analytics dashboard. I can see device type analysis, so GoMo knows whether you're on a phone or a tablet, launches and completions. But if we go down to the analytics and I run the all activities report, it's now doing a round trip to Learning Locker, which is the default learning record store that we point GoMo at. We can point it at other learning record stores as well. The XAPI analytics that you get here apply to all the methods of distribution that GoMo provides you, including the native app with the offline piece as well. So we can see here that Fred Bloggs took that course, he resumed down at the bottom there, he resumed the course, he experienced the main menu, he got questions 1 and 2 correct, he got question 3 wrong, got question 4 correct, and scored 75%. So we're tracking at question level, at page level, every single touch point that students have within that course. And again, this can be really important from a learning perspective. An LMS will generally tell you that Fred took the course and he scored 75%. GoMo can tell you at the same time that it's question 3 that Fred got wrong. And if everybody gets question 3 wrong, maybe it's question 3 that's the problem, maybe the video associated with question 3 is not up to scratch, and we can try and improve learning outcomes. So I hope that's given you a flying overview of GoMo. I'll just fire up the website. Myself and my colleagues are available all day on the GoMo Learning stand here. That's our website. There's a 21-day free trial on there as well. And I'll just flash up my details again, just so you can see who we are. 1 second. And I'll be delighted to talk to you here or on the stand anytime soon. And thank you very much for your attention.